What's up, guys? So we're going to talk about on how to control the conversation, whether that's sales or just interpersonal, whoever you're talking to. You want to control the conversation so you can actually lead it to the way that you want to. So let's deep dive in right now on how to control the conversation. Now, whoever's asking the most questions tend to win the conversation. Now, the question is all about finding their needs and the prospect's self-reflection, which I'll talk about more about what that means when it comes to self-reflection. Now, it's all about finding their pain and finding their goals is what the main thing you want to do. And the gap is actually the product solution. So let's just pretend I'm selling like a Shopify store as a course. Most people currently that want to learn Shopify are not really satisfied with their current job. They want to be in the online marketplace. The reason why being is they want to have more convenience when it comes to sales. They actually don't want to work for a regular 9 to 5. They want financial freedom, whatever that goal is, right? The pain is they are going through a current situation where they don't want to be, and they want to be at this, and Shopify or Amazon FBA or high ticket closing, whatever the thing is actually going to solve it. So you want to ask some questions to find the pain, and you want to find some questions that actually emphasize what are some of the prospects' goals. Whatever buying question in the beginning they have is really not actually real. I'll tell you why. Because no one really comes like, oh, after a 5-minute conversation of a sales presentation or after 5 minutes knowing someone, they say, yeah, let's all of a sudden start dating after meeting 5 minutes. Yeah, after you told me the product 5 minutes and you told me about the price, all of a sudden I want to buy it all of a sudden. It just doesn't happen like that. So when people ask you any buying questions or ask any things that kind of deviates your straight line persuasion, tends to be bogus. You don't want to pay attention much about what the prospect's saying or deviating to. All you want to do is make sure you stick to your sales process, and that process will actually lead you to the sale, not what the prospect does in the beginning or towards the middle or towards the end. What really matters is your process. Now, the most important thing when you first start off is setting a very strong and firm agenda and frame to your prospect, because you want to make sure that you go straight into the process and break the human psychology that people have. So one of the things that most people do, especially when they're on the phone or when they're first meeting someone, they'll be saying, hi, are you Peter? And they'll be like, well, of course, you call me by my number, right? So what you want to do is actually forget about getting permission and ask for forgiveness instead. So you want to go, hey, Peter, we saw that you inquired some information about da 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 da. We're X, Y, and Z company, and want to make sure that you're so interested in the program, you're actually looking to save money with the process that you inquired more about. Is it a good time to talk? So that's actually a better way to actually do it, because you assume it's that person and go that. If it's not the person, they'll address it, right? Most people, when you say, is this Boomoo? Is this Peter? Is this John? It's like, well, who is this? Because it brings a psychological alarm to people. So what you want to do is actually, instead of giving resistance, you want to go straight into it and ask for forgiveness on that. Set the tone straight. You want to make sure that you let them know what exactly is going to happen through this conversation or sales process. If you don't have a strong agenda, then you're going to have no control, and the prospect or the person that you're having a communication with is going to ask random questions that's not related to your process because you didn't set a firm, strong agenda. So a firm, strong agenda would be something like, so Mr. Prospect, we have about 30 minutes with this call. My job here is to make sure that you have all your questions answered. But the most important thing is we got to figure out if we are right fit for both of each other, not just for us, not just for you, to make sure both of us fit for each other when it comes to this program. So I'm going to ask you some general questions about your current situation and why you're looking to our program. Does that sound fair enough? Yes. All right. So tell me a little bit more about your current situation, and we can talk more from there. And basically the conversation starts from there. That's not exactly the agenda I set, but that's actually something that you want to do. You tell them exactly what's going to happen. You set it strong. You ask them, do they agree what we're talking about today? So it gives you that confirmation and to get that control in the very beginning, which is very powerful. Also, sometimes a mistake, what most common people do is when a prospect asks a question such as, yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about your company, what you guys offer and what you guys do? And you know what most salespeople or companies, what they do is respond. Saying, oh, we do this, we do that, blah, 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 blah. Basically, things that people don't care about because you're not customizing to what they want or aiming for. So a good question that you can ask is, you know what, Mr. Prospect? That's a great question. We would like to share as much as we can, but what do you know about us in general, and how much do you know out of scale 1 to 10? Or share some things that you know about us. So all I have to do is fill in the gaps for you so we can save each other's time. So what would you say how much you know about us? And let's start from there. So now the person needs to sell them on what they know about the company and what they offer. And that's basically how the conversation is going to go. Then you can ask them more questions. Okay, if that's what you know, and what would you say you're particularly looking for from us? And how can we help today? Now it's more becomes a process of finding their needs, and it shows that you're in control and you're a professional when it comes to situations about your company, your product. It's not about telling them everything. It's about telling what they need and what they want. So it's a very powerful thing that you can do. Now the goal is to deliver certainty. It's not about making your product sound sexy, make it sound so good, or make it sound too good to be true. All it's about is transfer certainty, transfer a confidence to the prospect, because people, they generally don't know what they want in life. It's your job, who's someone who believes in the product, believes in the confidence, what it can provide and deliver for the service it provides to the customer, so they can actually have more certainty, more belief, and actually make a confident purchase or educated purchase now that they have a conversation with you. So it's very important. And obviously you got to know your process. So whenever someone asks you an objection or asks you a certain question that's just not related to the process, some people just want to throw certain things to just throw you off. Example would be like when you go to a car dealership, a car salesman is usually trying to help you to purchase the right car. But people have the tendency to cross their arms, not really tell their budget, how much down payment they're willing to put, or what their credit is for some odd reason, even though they know the salesperson is gonna try to find the car that they want because they want to earn commission, right? So it's very important for the car salesperson to know their sales process, to know about their product, and what works best for the client. If someone doesn't know their sales process, I like to think it like cooking. Like when you bake something, you gotta have like certain things, right? You gotta have like flour, or like if you're making a chocolate cake, you can't take out the chocolate and just make a cake, right? So each ingredient that you have is actually building up the process, building up the confidence to the prospect. If you skip a step of the process, then your chocolate cake is most likely going to be burnt. It's not going to taste good. It's going to be too chalky, too rough, or too soft, and not where it's supposed to be, because the process was not complete when it comes to the person who was cooking it. So it's very important to know your process and master it, so your prospect can actually be in the position where you want to be, which is making an educated purchase on their own at the end. Not all questions they necessarily ask, like I said, is an objection. Sometimes they just might have a general purchasing question that's a little bit outside your logistics. Sometimes it's better to ask a question within a question. Sometimes if you feel like it's a little bit out of your control, or seems like it's a bit about your knowledge. So a good question would be something like, if you're in sales, or generally if you're talking about like having a product or brand yourself, they might talk about something like related to law, procedures, or they could call risk management, which is something a little bit out of your control. It's something a little bit more something that other professional that you hire, an attorney or a lawyer, has to be managed. So something you want to do is leverage the topic that that person's talking about, right? So a good thing will be like, if they talk about risk management, you can be like, you know what, Mr. Prospect, it seems like you are curious about our money back guarantee process. If I find the answer of that, the refund, or what liability insurance, or what are some of our procedures that we have to avoid safety hazard, and I cover that topic for you, would there be any reason why you will not join the program today if I cover that topic or get that question answered for you? And they'd be like, nothing really. Then you pretty much can say, okay, if I answer that question, we can pretty much say that we can get started with the program today, right? Oh, and if they say no, that means they know that question that they asked earlier is not really a buying question that is really hindering or stopping them from buying the product from you today or at a certain point. So you have to ask again, saying, other than that, what's some other questions that you might have before you get started today? Okay, or what's some other questions that you might have that we have to cover today so you make a purchasing choice or educated purchase on your side. Because at the end of the day, that's my job, nothing else. So you can get that question answered. Make sure you actually finesse it, because there are certain things that don't have to be answered. I'll give you a good example, such as like, you know how I mentioned that whoever asks the most questions tend to win the conversation. So I brought you some like good real life examples that I went through. So I'm actually Amazon sales consultant for a company. I can't just mention who it is just because I got a agreement with them. So this prospect was asking, how much does it cost to get involved? Which is a really like difficult question for us, to be honest, because you have to purchase our course. You have to have at least $3,000 to $5,000 on the person's name, because due to the nature of the Amazon FBA business, if they don't have that much money, all the profit's going to be eaten by Amazon due to its nature and its business model on how it's structured. So I told her, because you don't want to give that direct information saying, hey, you need this much, because it was just too early on. So what I tend to deviate, or what some people like to do, is like, you know what, Mr. Prospect, I respect that you want to find out the price so early on, but we got prices that go all the way here from the ceiling, and we have products that go all the way down to the bottom. But I don't want to recommend something that's not within your budget or that you don't want, especially if it doesn't meet your goals or standards. What exactly are you looking for, and what is your budget, would you say, that you feel comfortable spending, so I can customize and tailor a package that works best for you? How does that sound? And obviously they got to answer. Then you go saying, okay, so basically if I'm hearing this is the budget you have and this is the goal you have, and the reason being is X, Y, and Z. Am I hearing you correctly? And then once they agree, that's when your turn is, okay, and so based on what you told me, this is the package that I would recommend, and here's why. Because you told me earlier, and you go back to the questions that they answered based on the questions you asked. So you're not using features and benefits whatsoever. You're mentioning their needs, they're mentioning their wants, their goals in their life. Understood and listen to the person when you're having that conversation, which is the most powerful thing that you can do. Listening and applying their words to them and reiterating it. So one of the questions as we go when it comes to Amazon is they always ask, what is a good product to sell? Now that's good. Little bit difficult question, because there's not just such thing as a right or wrong answer when it comes to this. There's 110 million people that are on Amazon Prime. That means about 1/3 of Americans have access to that benefit, but literally about 80% of US households actually have Amazon Prime. So basically your mom, your grandma, your great uncle even has Amazon Prime, most likely. So that means there's abundance of customers for people to buy. Now, if you become a seller at that point, there's no such thing as like you'll be running out of clients or such thing as the perfect product. Whether it's digital marketing, Shopify, or any business that you want to do, or when it comes to opening a restaurant or whatever business it is, it's all about researching your market and finding out what the customer wants, what is selling well, and what is the problem with that product. And how can you fix it if people are already searching for it, but have a problem for it? But it's not the way that it works. I know at least like 20, 30 different products. It doesn't weigh a lot, but has a high perceived value. A good example would be like something like silicone wedding rings, where it has a very significant value when it comes to marriage or anniversaries. It doesn't weigh a lot, but tends to have a high perceived value to it. Or bedsheet covers. We can talk about even couple mugs, something that's couple related, marriage related, something you can't just buy one thing, but you got to buy 2 sets of something. So it's something be like in that direction what you want to do. And like I just said, there's no right or wrong answer. So I want you to get guys to realize, really, when you ask the questions or being vague at certain things, it's not to trick the customer. What you're really trying to reiterate is that the customer needs to realize that all their results, all their solutions really depends on them at the end of the day. If they want to have an A+ on the class, it depends on their work ethic and time. Now, if they want to have a successful business one day, it's about how much effort and time they can put on themselves, especially if they don't have the capital to hire someone to do it, right? Because there's not such thing as someone who's going to hold their hand and do the business for them. Most businesses do not work that way. And I haven't heard someone say that business was easy, right? If someone did said that, they mostly lie to you, or they're trying to sell you something, most likely. So I just want to let you know that. And it's all about finesse and frame. You know, whoever asks the most questions does win, but it's all about making sure you realize that the things that the prospect wants is available. It really depends on how much effort they're willing to commit. And you gotta ask them those hard questions, saying it doesn't matter what the answer is. The answer is how committed and how much effort are you willing to put so you can solve this solution if you had this product, is really that question that people need to ask. Now, and when you ask these questions, it's not about being a jerk or interrogating or trying to sound smart or very like professional. It's all about making sure like where the temperature's at with this prospect. Is this person warm? Is this person cold? And if it's warm, obviously you can keep on going with your process, right? Now, if it's cold, you gotta kind of like bring them back to your process to it. Now, the process is the key to it, to everything. But the most important thing is how you're gonna master that. Now, once you can master that, not only does it become a very valuable asset that companies want to hire you, no matter if it's a big company or a small company, because you know that you can make money on whatever direction or company industry that you go. So if you can master that, it's one of the most valuable assets you can do, because marketing and sales is the real reason why companies are able to make money. Because if there's no sales, there's no money at the end. So I hope that helped a lot. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ask a lot of questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.